So we are now on Senja Island. We arrived yesterday, spent a fantastic night at an amazing location last night, which Roger will put on the What 3 Words app. And it was interesting, it's quite a small, it's the second biggest island, but it's very small in terms of population. And the ferry we got on only runs in the summer. And actually we had to leave 15 people behind because there wasn't enough room. It wasn't a big ferry at all. And when we got here, there was a mad rugby scrum for places going the other way. And I reckon there's going to be at least 2 ferries before all those people who were there then will get on it. So very interesting. We're not going back on that ferry. We're going a different way back. We previously said that there were some people who couldn't get on, and now we are one of those people. Everybody except us, no, not everybody. Everybody in front of us got on, but unfortunately there wasn't quite enough room for Henry. So we've got to wait for the next one, but fortunately it's only 2 hours away. So here we go, we're going to be sitting here for a couple of hours, but there we are. We're on holiday, we don't mind. So today we are in Tromsø. We've just spent about £11 to park here, so we hope it's going to be worth it. But actually that's no different to Reading or anywhere like that really, is it? And we're just having a little explore of the city. And then we found this lovely church with a beautiful square all around it, which is absolutely charming. Lovely trees and flowers all around it, lovely. So we've just spent an hour or so in the Polar Museum, and it was very interesting. It was all about the different expeditions to the North Pole and the South Pole, mostly to with Roald Amundsen. But it was very, very interesting, and lots of, sadly they ate polar bears, they ate walruses, they ate reindeers, all that kind of thing, but that was kind of what they had to do in those days before they realised that they were going to be decimating the populations of them. But yeah, if you're here, it's a very interesting place to go in and spend an hour or two. So we are at the museum in Alta, which is in the very far north of Norway, and we are looking at rock carvings. And this is one of the oldest rock carvings that actually depicts people working together to hunt reindeer. And this is a trapping fence for reindeer, which you can see on the ground there, and then lots of reindeer caught inside it and others outside as well. And they were saying that the red paint was applied in the 1970s, which does make it much easier to see, but a lot of people felt that the red paint actually destroyed the rock carvings completely. But it's up to you, isn't it? They are certainly easier to see with the red paint on, that's for sure. These rock carvings were dated to between 6,000 and 2,000 years ago. So we are at the North Cape. This is the very furthest north point in Europe. Or is it? Having said that this is the furthest north point in Europe, actually we've heard a rumour that that's not true, and that actually that headland that you can see over there is the furthest north point in Europe. But the trouble with that headland is the only way there is to walk, and it's about a 9-kilometre walk each way, and that's what we're going to go and do now. So we're about halfway on our walk now. It says it's between 8 and 9k to this part of the North Cape, or I don't know what it is really, but we're about halfway toward this walk, and we've come across various types of terrain, including large patches of snow like this, which are very slippery, and when you don't know what's underneath, you're kind of treading carefully in case you suddenly disappear into a chasm of snow never to be seen again, I guess. But most of it has been rocks and stones and muddy bits, and we've also waded through, well, not waded, but we've had to pick our way through streams and various things like that. So it's certainly been a varied route so far. So this is the real North Cape. And over there is the North Cape that lots of people go to with a little globe on the end of the headland, etc., etc. But this one actually sticks out nearly a mile further north than that one does. But you can only get here via a hike. And we've been walking for about 2.5 hours. It's 5.5 miles. And it was fairly tough going. The last mile or so was fairly tough going, wasn't it? Over sort of sheer rocks and that kind of thing. Yeah. But up to that it was fine. It's fairly bleak here, I'd think it's fair to say, isn't it, really?
It's exceptionally bleak. But we're standing here thinking, actually this doesn't look any further north than that one over there does. But apparently it is, and hopefully I will show you on a map that it is further north. However, some people say this isn't the furthest north.
Because this is on an island.
This is on an island. There is somewhere not as far north as this that's not on an island, but my argument would be that we actually came on a tunnel to this island, therefore we drove as far as we could, we walked, we haven't been on a boat, therefore as far as I'm concerned it's the furthest north you can get in mainland Europe.
So we're 8 miles into this hike now, we've got about another 3 miles to go, and there's a lot more hills than we thought there seemed on the way there, certainly, so presumably we were going down quite a lot of the way there. But it is lovely, and there is hardly anybody around. This was described as quite an easy hike, and it is, but we thought that would mean that it was absolutely packed with people, and it's not, which is wonderful. It's just stunning scenery around here as well, absolutely amazing. So we're here in a co-op extra, which we like co-op the best, we've decided, in Norway, because it has quite a lot of things that I can have. So it has quite a lot of lacto-free and gluten-free things, and one of the things we've been able to get virtually everywhere is lacto-free milk, which is fantastic. So we only need one today, so I'm going to get one of those. We've also, most of the cheeses that are behind here, all of these cheeses are actually lacto-free anyway, which is fantastic. So we've got a big chunk of that in the fridge as well. They also do some gluten-free bread and various bits and pieces, and they have very nice fruit and veg here as well. So yeah, it sounds good to me. I did want some lacto-free chocolate, which they don't have today, but you know, it is quite expensive. This is £2, whereas at home it would be £1.40, £1.50, something like that. But you know, we know it's Norway and it's expensive stuff. That's what you have to do, isn't it, really? So at lunchtimes we've been having quite a lot of salmon, and we've been having a lot of this salmon. It's only co-op owned, but it's only £2.50 for a packet, and it lasts us 3 or 4 days for lunch. And it's absolutely delicious, because in Norway and in Sweden you've got to have salmon, because that's what they catch a lot of, so fair enough really. So this is Nesby Church, Nesby, I'm not sure how you say it, but this is one of the rare examples of a church that was actually built in the 1850s in this part of Norway, because when the Germans after World War II realised they were losing, they retreated, and they implemented a scorched earth policy, which was they burnt pretty much everything that they left behind, but they left this church unscathed, which is quite amazing. So this church is one of the few things that dates from pre-World War II in the area. And this dates from the 1850s, but all the rest of the village only dates from the 1950s. So there you go. So we are at Hamningberg. It's at the end of the road. Basically, the road doesn't go anywhere else other than to here. We came through Vardo. We were meant to be looking for birds, and we got here and we saw all the people, and suddenly we could see puffs coming out of the water. And there's a whole massive pod of whales. We think they're fin whales, but we need to go and check. And it's been quite amazing watching them. Unfortunately, we couldn't get them on camera, but they were absolutely incredible to watch. You could see them breaching, you could see them fluking with their tails as well. Absolutely amazing. Fantastic. Definitely worth the drive out here. And we saw sea eagles on the way as well. So we've just been to Hamningberg, and now we're on our way back to find our parking spot for the night. And we love this road here. It's single track road with passing places, sort of. And there's rocks and things that are just incredible along this road. And having just seen the whales as well, it's been a definitely worth it trip to come out to Hamningberg. Although it's been an 88k detour or extra trip, it's definitely worth it. This is like an otherworldly moonscape almost. It's quite weird. But it's very, very beautiful. Barren but beautiful.
We've only got a few more days left in Norway before we head into Sweden, and so far we've had some amazing park-ups for the night, and here is another one. The views are just incredible, and in the distance we can actually see Wales. It doesn't get much better than this, does it?
We are on Vardo Island, and this is the Stylersnet Memorial. And actually this memorial is for the 91 people who were burnt to death at the stake for being witches in the 1600s. And between 1600 and 1692 there were 91 people who were burnt alive at the stake here for being witches, and this memorial is about them. And there's this room here which has this is allegedly where the executions actually took place, which has this chair and the mirrors above it, which are meant to sort of symbolise the fact that you can't get away from the flames, I think. And then there's another bit as well which has memorials for each of the people who were burnt, which we're going to go and have a look at as well. This building has the 91, all these light bulbs, each light bulb represents a person, 91 people from 1600 to 1692, and a lot of these are 1650s and 1660s. And we've been looking at the reasons that people have been given for being accused of a witch. Some of them are just, you've been accused of witchcraft, and that was it. They didn't have any kind of defence, so they just got burnt at the stake. Some of them have confessed, in inverted commas, after torture. Some of them say they confessed without torture, but I'd find that quite difficult to believe. And it's bizarre things like they've been given the gift of witchcraft through a piece of bread and butter, and licking the foam off a drink of milk. Strange things, but this is a very evocative place, and this is quite amazing. This sort of sailclothy stuff here, which this building is made of. Yeah, amazing. Very, very thought-provoking. So last night we spent the night about 5 kilometres just down the road here, and actually we are so close to the border with Russia, because just on the other side of that river is the Russian border. So this was our last night in Norway last night, and today we'll be going to Finland and then on to Sweden.